Good morning. Robert Stacy here again for my second iteration of classes on program assessments and institutional effectiveness improvement plans. Remember the last session we talked about the instructional program review plans. That's only for the instructional departments. The institutional effective improvement plans are for all departments, both the department chairs in the instructional departments and all the departments throughout the college. So what we'll be covering today is going to be applicable to all of the departments that are going to be doing IE plans. First thing I want to talk about is TaskStream. Whenever somebody sees that word or they hear that word, for some reason everyone goes into this lockdown panic mode. And really all TaskStream is a file cabinet. Okay, it's nothing more. It's a way to enter information, to save information, and to manipulate information. The same thing that Files Cabinet did for us 15, 20 years ago is what TaskStream does for us today. I think some of the trepidation comes in where people, since they don't use it every day, there is some lag time in the amount of time that it takes for them to relearn it so that they can enter their institutional effective improvement plans. So what I want to try to do today is kind of simplify things for you to make it easier for you when it comes time for you to enter your IE plans to do that in TaskStream. So hopefully there won't be as much anxiety as there has been in the past. The way things work is right now you should be entering the results of last year's institutional effectiveness improvement plans. Okay, so in other words, from the fall of 2017 through the spring, summer of 2018, you should have had a plan in place for your departments on things that you wanted to improve. Right now is when you'll be going into TaskStream to enter the results of the goals or the outcomes that you had planned for yourself or your departments. Okay? What we're going to talk about today though is moving into the 2018-2019 academic year and how we're going to make some changes and how we're going to add new improvement plans for the next year. If you've got questions about how to enter the results for this past year, all you have to do is give me a call, 526-1182. I can answer any questions that you have, or you can go to my website, the LOA website, and I have plenty of materials there to assist you in the process of entering your results. Okay, but remember, TaskStream is just a tool that we use to capture information and manipulate information. The agenda will be covering the use of TaskStream, how to update a mission in TaskStream, how to set goals, objectives, and outcomes in TaskStream, using the acronym SMART to create desired outcomes, how to measure and assess desired outcomes and record the results in TaskStream, and then some resources, and then if you have any questions or comments. A little bit about TaskStream. Everybody acts like this is a brand new piece of software that we've gotten that nobody knows how to use. And in fact, it's been around here at CTC since 2010. So we've been using TaskStream in one form or another for about the past 8 years. TaskStream is based out of New York. So that's where the main group of people are that will help you with any problems that you have or that help system administrators with any problems that they have. That help comes from New York. It's played a major role in the THECB's, the Coordinating Board's Core Curriculum Initiative in 2014-2015. Those of you in the instructional departments probably were intimately familiar with that and had to use TaskStream in order to enter those things into for the THECB requirements. It also played a major role in our reaffirmation or reaccreditation process between SACS COC and the college, and that was done in 2015. That's done every 10 years, and every 5 years they come in to kind of see how we're doing before the 10-year look. So in 2020, we'll be undergoing our 5-year review. And a lot of the information that SACS uses during that review and during the reaffirmation process comes from TaskStream, comes from that file cabinet. It also played a major role in the ongoing documentation of the Quality Enhancement Plan and the strategic planning initiatives for Central Texas College's 2013 through 18 strategic planning, and also the 2018 through 2023, which is what we just underwent. So all the information that was captured as a result of those planning committees and as a result of those committees was captured in TaskStream. So when SACS or the coordinating board comes in to review that information, That's all captured in TaskStream. It continues to contribute to the enhancement of the instructional programs that we were talking about yesterday, the enhancement plans, and also the instructional review process and the institutional effectiveness improvement plans. And that's both for the instructional and the non-instructional departments. Currently, Central Texas College has 152 active users who have access to TaskStream and are using it almost on a daily basis. So there's quite a few people that are in TaskStream working right now.
So how do I update and add a mission into TaskStream?
Okay. If you'll remember that we've just undergone a whole process of updating our strategic initiatives, our strategic goals, and the college's mission. So in the fall of this year, you'll be getting information on what the new college's mission is and what the new strategic goals or priorities are. So what you'll want to do first before you start entering any of your improvement plans in the improvement plan area is probably update your mission so that it's aligned with the new college mission. Okay? How you do that, how you ensure that it's aligned with the college's new mission, that's going to be based on you and your department and the guidance that you get from your deputy chancellors. But the first thing you'll want to do is probably update your mission statement for your departments. And this is how you're going to do that. You're going to click on Instructional Departments, Institutional Effectiveness. This is different from Instructional Program Review Plan. The review plan is something that only the instructional departments do. The IE, the instructional department's IE plans, are something that everyone does, okay? So make sure you click on the correct workspace. Okay, once you click on that, this will come up. And this is the electronics department. This is where they have their information stored. You can see they've already put their 2017 improvement plan in there. It's been reviewed and locked. You'll click on the department mission, and then this will come up and you'll click check out. It's like a library system. You check out a book, you check it back in when you're done. And this helps from people overriding each other while someone's editing the information inside the workspace. So always remember to check out your work and then check it back in when you're done. Next slide. Okay, whenever you check out the work, this is what you'll see. And if you'll notice, there's an edit button over on the right-hand side. In order to edit your mission or to change the mission altogether, you'll click on that edit button and then edit the mission however you deem appropriate. Okay, very simple. So the important part is to make sure that your current departmental mission is aligned with the current institution's mission, which will change when the new strategic priorities and the new college's mission comes out. Before we get into how to actually enter it into TaskStream, I want to talk a little bit about outcomes and measurable outcomes. And one of the popular acronyms that's used to do this is the SMART acronym. Okay? That's to make sure that the outcome that you're choosing is specific enough in order for you to be able to measure it. That there's some way for you to be able to measure it. That could be a direct measure. It could be an indirect measure via surveys and things like that. That's all going to be up to you. But you want to make sure that whatever you choose to try to work on in your department is measurable so that you can tell if you're successful or not successful. You want to make sure that the goal or the outcome is attainable, realistic, and timely. Okay? If it's not timely, in other words, if you say work in the grounds department, and one of your outcomes is that you want to make sure that all of your lawn equipment is 95% operational. 95% of your equipment is operational during the summer months. That's a timely goal. It's measurable because there's a percentage, and it's timely because during the summer months is when the grass needs to be cut the most. So those are just some things to think about when you're trying to come up with goals or outcomes for your department.
So now where do I put those goals that I have set, objectives and outcomes?
Okay. The reason why I have goal setting, objectives, and outcomes are those are kind of all interchangeable words. We tend to gravitate towards the outcomes part of that, but objectives is kind of the same thing and goals are kind of the same thing. But what we want to concentrate on is the desired outcomes, not necessarily just the goal itself or just the objective. So this is what you're going to do. If you'll click on Improvement Plan, and we notice we're in the 2018-2019 Department Improvement area. Okay, 18 because it'll be the fall of 2018 and the spring, summer of 2019. That's our academic year. That's where your improvement plan, that's the time period that it's going to cover. So make sure that you're entering it in the appropriate year. If you didn't enter anything last year, you would be allowed to enter that information, but it would be in the wrong year. So just make sure that it's in the right year. Once you click on that, the directions will come up and it'll kind of tell you a little bit about what needs to go into this area. You'll also note that it says Learning Outcomes Enhancement are entered in the Program Improvement workspace, not in this departmental level workspace. So you'll notice that there's a difference between departmental outcomes and goals and program level or course level outcomes and goals. So keep that in mind. You'll click, just like the library system is, you'll click the checkout area and then this screen will come up. You'll have an option to either create a new assessment plan completely from scratch, okay, or you have an option of choosing one that previously existed. Okay, so normally you'll just choose one that you've already done before. That will import the information into the new year for you, and then you can just go in and edit that information as need be. So if you didn't accomplish one of your goals or outcomes for last year, and it's something that you wanted to continue to work on and to perfect going into the new year, you already have the information in there. You just have to go in and edit that. And these are all the different areas that the electronics program could choose from. They could go in and see how many of these have goals that they want to try to work on again this year and things like that, and just select the appropriate pre-existing plan. Getting back to the SMART acronym, you want to make sure that there is some way that you can measure whether or not your plan was successful or not. Because if it was not successful, then you may want to carry that on to the new year to continue working on it and perfecting it. Always moving towards continual improvement. Okay. Well, I wanted to go back for a second and talk about that objective versus goals versus outcomes. In TaskStream, this is the way that it's set up. Okay. The objective may be, say, electronic department's responsibilities. So that's the overarching goal. Okay. Then we're going to get into the learning outcomes or the goals. So I'm not saying that this is electronics, this is just an example. So for this particular one, their learning outcome was meet industry standards. So if we went back and looked at the SMART acronym, is that a specific outcome? Not really. It's pretty broad. It's going to be pretty hard to measure that in quantifiable terms, either with a direct assessment or indirect assessment. So when you meet with your faculty or when you meet with your departmental representatives and you're coming up with these outcomes, make sure that these are specific, that they're measurable, that they're achievable, that they're reliable and they're timely. So if this is accurate and this is specific, it's going to be a lot easier to select a measurement method. Okay? In TaskStream, this was the measurement method that they chose, a direct method other. Now, that could be anything. If it was in an academic department, a direct measure could be a final test score on an exam. That's a direct measure. An indirect measure would be going back and sending a survey to someone that graduated last year, asking them if they learned everything in their program that they needed to know to work in the profession that they chose. That's an indirect measure, okay? But this is going to be up to you what measurement levels that you choose. Go back for just a second. In the description here, implement advisory committee recommendations. Okay, and then the target, which would be the measure, implementation of a minimum of 50% of advisory. Now, this is hard for me to get my mind around, to quantify. Okay, it's going to be very hard to measure whether or not you met industry standards using an advisory committee with implementation of a minimum of 50% of advisory. Okay, I'm thinking that means 50% of the recommendations that the advisory committee recommended were eventually implemented into your curriculum. That's just a guess on my part. So why leave it up to guessing? If you want to establish a firm goal, a specific goal, and you want to know if you attain that goal at the end of the year when you do your results, then these need to be measurable and achievable. Okay, this is kind of vague to me, but this is up to your departments on how you do that. And then this is just an example, another example. The learning outcome is student success. Now, is that specific? Okay, is it measurable?
No.
As it's written right there, I wouldn't think so. I would be hard-pressed to come up with a measurement tool, either direct or indirect, that would measure student success without that being a more specific outcome. Then we're going to go down and they're going to say that their measure is to provide students with skills and knowledge to be competitive. Okay? Skills and knowledge to be competitive. Okay? How are you going to measure whether or not a student is competitive? Okay? That's going to be a hard one to measure. Okay? And I'm just using these as examples of things that have been done in the past just to reiterate how important using that SMART acronym is in developing these goals and these measures and these assessments. Okay? The more time that you spend thinking about the specificity of the goals or the outcomes, the more productive this whole process is going to be for you, especially when you go back over a couple of years and start looking at some of the other goals that people had set and whether or not they were successful or not successful. Here you'll notice that the target achievement was not met. Okay, that's the results section. And then you ask, okay, the summary of findings. Currently there is insufficient data to make an assessment of employer satisfaction. Okay, so employer satisfaction, that tells me that they may have sent some type of survey out to the employers. Okay, or maybe that was their goal, to send a survey out to the employers to find out whether they were satisfied with the students that were coming from the college. Okay, maybe they didn't have that tool developed. Maybe a more accurate learning outcome was the development of a tool in order to assess employer satisfaction with recent graduates. Okay, that's a much more specific goal. And then if you had a 5-point scale that the employers chose, your goal may be an average of 4 for each student. That way you can, it's a lot more easy to measure that way. So think about that when you're coming up with your goals and everything for the next year. Of course, TaskStream is always available to you. There's a help menu in TaskStream. So whenever you log into TaskStream, you click on the help button, and it's got a whole litany of different areas that you can go in to look at how to do these types of things. On my website, the Learning Outcomes Assessment Coordinator's website, I've got hyperlinks to a lot of different information, quick start guides and things like that, that will help refresh your memory as you're getting ready to go into the new year to establish your new improvement plans. And then again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or recommendations for how to improve this type of presentation or any training in the future, please feel free to give me a call at 526-1182 or my email address at robert.stacy@ctcd.edu. Thank you for all that you do for our students and for our college.